This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
We're talking about, reciprocity. We had a caller earlier who got himself in trouble on the highway, truck driver, and he's faced with felony charges now. A guy tried to run him off the road or did road rage, and this caller, Philip, basically flashed his gun because he said he didn't have a carry permit and said it was his constitutional right to have a gun. Okay, well, yeah, I get that. At the same time, when you decide to go full on in demonstration mode, if you will, did you want to thwart the laws? You get that. And maybe you didn't know. I don't know. But I think in this case, maybe national reciprocity would have helped him. I know it would have helped an awful lot of people, and it will help a lot of people when we get there, if we get there. But along the way, there are little roadblocks. There are bumps in the road. There are things to look out for. And that's where, they talk about the devil's being in the details. One of the guys who really looks at the details and one of the best wordsmiths in the business is Alan Korwin from gunlaws.com, joins us right now. Hey, Alan, how are you, partner?
I'm good, and thanks for that intro, Tom. Thank you very much.
You bet. So you came up to me at the SHOT Show and said, man, we got to talk because there's something going on here with the reciprocity bills that people aren't paying attention to. You want to explain what's happening?
Sure. There's two bills. The House passed one that's about 9 pages long, and the Senate has one that they wrote and introduced last January that's just sitting still, and it's about a page long. Mm-hmm. Now, the House bill has all kinds of junk in it, including pages and pages of what they call fixed nicks, and that's got some problems, but we'll look at that next. The problem with the House bill that was passed is that it federally authorizes gun-free zones. Yeah. Now, as you know, the real name for that is make-believe gun-free zones. Like you hang a sign that says, in this building you're protected by this sign, and there's nothing preventing criminals or anybody from coming and going with guns. So the law actually says this section shall not supersede laws that permit private persons to prohibit possession of firearms on their property or prohibit possession of firearms on any state or local government property. Now, what that means is you might get reciprocity, and your permit or your constitutional carry will be preserved nationwide, and everybody wants that, so they're clamoring for that. Mm-hmm. But in a place like New Jersey or California, which hates you and hates your gun rights, they could literally say, well, we own the state roads, so we're going to ban guns on state roads.
Exactly.
Have a nice day and post a federal law. And similarly, a shoe store, which might be able to say no guns, Georgia Law 101, now they can say no guns, Federal Law 926D. That's not good, and they're not planning on taking that out.
So here's a question. At this point, knowing you're not quiet about stuff like this. You must have talked to some of the folks. I mean, that's fair, right?
Yeah, you got that right, Tom.
Okay, so who have you talked to about this, and what are they saying?
Well, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. The entire House of Representatives has it in their bill. These things are hard to change, and people who go to gunlaws.com, my website, see this, understand it, and they make noise. The National Shooting Sports Foundation, which runs the SHOT Show, I got from them that they want to see the Senate bill pass, not the House bill, the one-page bill, because it doesn't have any of this in it. But Senator Cornyn wants to push fixed nicks, which is in the House bill. So when the two houses get together to confer and decide which bill they're going to use, and the Senate bill hasn't been passed yet. They're sitting still for over a year, even with our good guy Trump in office. When they do, who knows what will come out of it? And they may include this, you're allowed to say we don't want you at our lunch counter, you can't come into our store, federal law, and pit private property rights against your civil right to keep and bear arms. That's the dilemma, at least on that part.
Okay, now we have 3, 4, maybe 5 national gun rights groups, NRA, GOA, SAF, etc. I haven't heard any of them talking about this, at least not publicly.
Yeah, you're right. The only one who has is JPFO, Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, jpfo.org.
Right.
They watch this stuff, and the other groups know it's there, but until the Senate passes its one bill, S-446, until they pass that, nothing's happening, and they're not moving their gun bill, so reciprocity is dead in the water for the moment. Let me deal with another side of this problem, Tom.
Sure.
We're not getting reciprocity enacted or basically reinstating the Second Amendment so you can be in possession of your private property and not be subject to arrest. I got to tell you this.
I know.
They want to fix NICS. Now, the left wants to disarm the public, and they see the NICS index as a way to disarm America.
Let's back up. Explain to people what NICS is in case they just arrived.
You're right. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
NICS is the list of people who are prohibited from having a firearm. It's the National Instant Background Check. So if you're a wild-eyed murderer, you're on the list. If you're convicted of any of the 8 categories, illegal alien, terrorist, domestic violence,
convicted
felon, if you're any of those people, certifiably mentally nuts, there's a technical description of that, those people shouldn't have a gun.
Okay.
Everybody agrees with that. Even though the left says the NRA wants everybody to have a gun, that's a total lie. That's what they do.
Yeah.
There's a list of people who can't have a gun, and they should be in the database, the NICS list of people who can't have a gun. But the left understands that the more people they can pour into that list, the closer they are to their holy grail of disarming America. So they've come up with schemes for how to increase the NICS list. And if you can't fill out your own checkbook, they want to include you because you're not competent.
Well, that was the whole that was the Veterans Affairs thing, right?
Exactly. And they wanted to do that with Social Security recipients. If you had a financial advisor, we should put you in the NICS list. And they wanted to do that with the no-fly list. If they decided you can't fly to Cincinnati, but you're free to drive there.
Well, is that in this fixed NICS thing?
Well, not exactly, but it's pretty broad, and they want to keep growing the NICS list, and they want to analyze it constantly to make sure it's growing at an acceptable rate of speed, and then give commendations and bonuses based on it's growing well, or deny bonuses to groups that aren't contributing fast enough. It's weak. It needs work.
And on the flip side of that is, of course, we have, people like we've had a couple of mass shooters who should have been in the database who were not.
You mean mass murderers?
Mass murders.
We're all shooters. You mean mass murderers. But go ahead.
You go ahead. I mean, I get it. They're mass shooters in this case because they are mass killers, if you prefer. But they kill a bunch of people, and they should have been in the database, and they were not. And so we're trying to figure out a way, how do we fix this so that these people are in, and yet, to your point, not open the door to those who are truly the enemies of freedom, who would say, oh, look, here's an opening that we can create so we can just, to your point, keep pouring more people in, because the more people we can prohibit from owning a gun, the fewer people who own guns. And this is the point I want to get to. When they have marginalized us to a proper extent, they can extinguish us.
That's right. So what we need is a fix NICS bill.
Okay, here's what I want you to address. I tell you what, I got a question for you. I got to take a quick break. When we come back, one of the things that's not available right now, I'll let you stew on this for a couple of minutes, is how do you get off the list, particularly how do you get your rights back? And we have lost that And I would like Alan Korwin to talk about that whole deal. How do we get the funding back so you can apply to get your gun rights back, even if you're a convicted felon, which used to be available and no longer is. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
Now you can own a brand new revolver with roots in the 1800s. The astounding North American Arms Ranger 2. A break-action, 5-shot, 22 Magnum mini revolver. Inspired by the Schofield Smith & Wesson of the 1870s, this 7-ounce Magnum revolver is fun to shoot and easy to carry every day. Historic style, high-tech, pocket precision. Check out the new Top Break Ranger 2 at NorthAmericanArms.com. NorthAmericanArms.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
A number of years ago, I believe it was Chuck Schumer, made a change in funding and removed from the ATF's funding the money that they use to process applications for the restoration of your gun rights. When you're a convicted felon, you lose your gun rights, but there was a process by which you could apply for and get your gun rights back. That funding has been removed. It's been, a decade or so, and nobody's had the guts to say, hey, we should put that back in. And so now it is a life sentence. There's no way to get it back in most cases. We're talking about Alan Korwin. And Alan, I know that wasn't something you planned to talk about, but it's kind of connected to what we're talking about, isn't it?
Oh, ye of little faith. I have a list for the Fix NICS bill. And this is an idea I got from the Second Amendment Foundation. Give credit where it's due. But I came up with a list of things we need to fix the Fix NICS idea. First of all, there has to be an easy way to get off NICS. If you're put in there incorrectly, like Ted Kennedy was on the no-fly list, then he couldn't get off.
Right.
The NICS bill, if we do fix NICS, and there are some problems with it, some people don't report crazy mental cases who are certifiably nuts. They don't report them to NICS, and everybody agrees that real crazy people, properly defined, should not get guns. I mean, everybody agrees with that.
Sure.
But there has to be an easy way to get off NICS if you're not supposed to be there. It should be quick, guaranteed, and no cost, not $20,000 worth of lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
There should be real serious controls for adding people, not, like you mentioned, mental disability based on PTSD for war vets, or you have prescription drugs but you're not certifiably nuts, and not that you have a financial advisor for Social Security or some secret police put you on a secret no-fly list. It's got to be real serious controls for who gets on.
Okay.
And then the government never does this, Tom, but there should be punishment for anybody who puts you on falsely so that they can't do that. And then there should be an audit procedure to ensure compliance that they're not creating a gun registry, which we all presume they're doing. They get 12 million people a year buying guns, getting their information, and keeping it, and creating a registry. They're not supposed to do that, and we can't check. This is bad. And here's something that affects every gun owner. Guy thinks he's okay, and he doesn't know. Tom,
Right.
you might be on the registry. How do you find out if you're on without attempting to buy a gun, which would be a criminal act if you're in the list and you're not supposed to be?
Let me make that point again for people who don't understand. If you are on the list, you're prohibited, and you go and try to buy a gun, whether or not you know you're on the list, the mere act of filling out the form is, in fact, a federal crime, isn't it?
That's correct. And if you're on the list for something you forgot about, you were in a stolen car when you were a teenager and you didn't do anything but you were there, and this is 40 years later and you're the mayor of your town, this happens.
Yeah.
Handling the gun in the store is a crime. Filling out the form is a crime. And you can't, I get calls like this from people, how do I find out if I'm on the NICS list without going and trying to buy a gun, which could be a criminal act? There has to be a way to find out if you're on the list without breaking that law.
Mm-hmm. And then what about getting back your rights?
And getting back your rights has to be part of Fix NICS. Funding for restoration of that process, all these things really need to be done, and the government isn't looking at it. The rights groups aren't looking at it. Gunlaws.com is looking at it. JPFO is looking at it because I work with them very closely. And here's the real bottom line. Why are we sending 12 million innocent people a year to the FBI when the FBI ought to be sending the list of criminals to the gun dealers like wanted posters? That system called BIDS, Blind Identification System, is cheaper, better, doesn't collect the names of innocent people. You send the names of the prohibited people like wanted posters.
And look, with the databases and computers we have now, it's simple. It's easy to do this kind of stuff.
You bet. It's encrypted. It's secure. We trust these people to sell guns, for God's sake. You send them the names of the criminals. They can't use it to look up their daughter's date. If they do, that's a crime. The list is only for selling firearms. And they check the criminals rather than sending tens of millions of innocent people's names to the FBI.
And there's something else here, and I am loath to even get into it, but it's here.
And what's that?
And that is, it's the FBI running this program. This would be the FBI that, in my personal view, put together an entirely bogus investigation to change the outcome of a political election for president and actually engaged in what I consider to be a coup attempt. So at what point do we have, back to you, protections of putting somebody on the list who shouldn't be there, just like unmasking someone who never should have been unmasked, just like getting warrants for surveillance on American citizens that shouldn't have been granted? At a certain point, you just start to wonder, how much do I trust these agencies at all?
Tom, you're absolutely correct, and you've got your finger on the real pulse of the problem. When the NICS system, the National Background Check, was first built, the $250 million the FBI got, they got on the premise that we need to check out gun buyers, but it was really to give them a centralized database to check out anybody. And now they're collecting hundreds of millions of Americans' names, addresses, phone numbers, and the fact that they're buying guns. And they shouldn't have that. And the BID system, which is posted at gunlaws.com, describes the very simple process for sending the bad guys' names to gun dealers, updated hourly if you want. Let them check it out. Don't send our names to this agency, which has all kinds of security problems, and do it that way. I have no problem with not selling guns to criminals. Send the criminals' names to the dealers. Why are we sending the names of the innocent people to the FBI? There's only one reason: create a registry.
Yep, exactly. All right, the website is gunlaws.com, and you can read an awful lot more there, Alan. Of course, you've got the Traveler's Guide to Firearm Laws in the 50 states. They've got gun laws of various states there. You got on and on, great books and lots of information, and frankly, just a different way of looking at things. I love the way you turn things upside down. It helps us all understand this stuff, man.
I will have this list for Fix NICS and the problem with the House bill posted. Some of it's already there, and I send it out by email infrequently, but when I can.
All right. Alan Korwin, thank you so much.
And thank you, Tom. You're doing a great job.
All right, you take care. Yeah, Alan, wordsmith, he looks at things, turns them upside down. He's the one that said, look, quit talking about gun control. Talk about gun rights. If you talk about gun control, you give them control of the conversation. You have to control the language so you can control the conversation, so you can control what the public understands and what they know about that. Talk about, I am not pro-gun, I am pro-rights. Go, oh, well, what does that do for you? Well, it forces the other side to be anti-rights. Because they're okay saying they're anti-gun. They like that. And you're saying, but I'm pro-gun. And then some people will like that and some people will not. But if you're pro-rights, who's going to argue with that? I support constitutional rights, and you're trying to take away our constitutional rights. Leave the gun thing out of it. It's a winning tactic in the battle for public relations, for the minds of the public. And once again, I go back to this often, as you know, that's where the battle is being fought. If you lose public opinion, you lose your rights. Oh, yeah, but we got the Second Amendment. Yeah, kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of. Ask people in New Jersey. Ask people in California. They've got the Second Amendment, but can they exercise it? Not if the public has been persuaded. And frankly, that's a lot of what Michael Bloomberg's billions are doing now. He's creating these phony groups like The Trace. He said, well, let's just create a bogus news organization that does nothing but feed bogus information about guns and gun crime and gun usage, and people will eventually start believing that this is a legitimate news source. We'll call it The Trace. That's what that thing is. And now we're seeing more and more studies funded by Bloomberg, studies with big air quotes around them. They are pushing this stuff out, and the media picks it up, and they repeat it often enough that it gets quoted again and again and again, and then it's hard to figure out that it was bogus in the first place and that it came from Bloomberg's anti-gun agenda. The Mothers Against and the Mothers Demand and the every whatever it is, all these groups, Bloomberg creations. Simple as that. 866-TALK-GUN.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
We are going to see these stories more and more as more and more people have carry permits or live in states that don't require permits. And more people are carrying. More and more people are getting training. Out of Mississippi, George County, Mississippi, an inmate who escaped in George County, Mississippi, was captured after being shot after allegedly carjacking a vehicle from a concealed carry permit holder. Well, there's a surprise for you. The Clarion Ledger, a newspaper there, reports that the inmate, 37-year-old Eugene Robinson, escaped George County Regional Correctional Facility after tying up an officer and stealing the officer's truck. Robinson allegedly carjacked a vehicle from a concealed permit holder and was shot while trying to drive away. Yeah, well, that'll happen. It's going to happen more and more. Don't cry for me, Argentina, or for that guy either. Line 3, Ryan is in North Dakota. Hey, Ryan, you got a bit of a range report for us, at least a gear report.
Yeah, after I talked to you last Sunday, I got on the internet and ordered that Blink security system. I got it yesterday in the mail. I set it up, 4 cameras. I had it all set up in probably less than a half an hour, and works great. I love it.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? And you find, as you poke around on the app and on your phone, you discover it can actually do a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's a lot better, and I feel a lot better because I have all my guns in safes, but my safes are in the garage, and now I've got cameras going every which direction in the garage, and I can see, and all my tools everything's under surveillance now.
Yep, and it's easy, and not, that's great. All right, but I see also that you're one of those guys that every time you go buy a gun, you get delayed on the next check. What's going on here?
In the last 5 years, I have gotten delayed probably 40 to 45 times. It's like 9 out of 10 times I get delayed.
Do you ever get an explanation of what's going on?
No, that's what is there somebody that I can call? They always say, well, we don't know what's going on.
Well, the store wouldn't know, but somebody at the FBI knows, and it may be what you can do. Contact, and I don't have it at hand, but you can do a little online looking around. Contact the FBI and say, look, this happens all the time to me. It may be that you have like an identical name to somebody who's a problem. And I think you can get a special number from them that you can put in on your form that goes through, and they'll go, okay, this is the right Ryan. This is not the one that we keep having a problem with. Yeah. And you'll go through. I think if that happened to me that many times, I would certainly be looking for that. But contact the FBI, the NICS background guys, and you can look for that online. Just do a little search in there and see if you can't get them to issue you that special number so you can avoid this. Because what's going on is you, like I said, probably have a name similar or even identical to someone who is prohibited, and so they have to clear it every time. You want to get through that deal. So I wish you luck with that. Let's go talk to George out of OC Shooters on line 1. Hey, George, what's happening?
Not too much. I just wanted to relate a story that happened out on Long Island, New York State, last year. A guy had somebody break into his garage, and in New York State, you're not allowed to use deadly physical force to protect property. So he chased the person away. A couple hours later, the guy came back. So now the homeowner went out with his shotgun and fired a warning shot. So, number one, he's wrong because he's protecting property with deadly physical force. Number two, when the police arrived, he said, I fired a warning shot, which basically proves that you were not in fear of your life or serious bodily harm, because if you were, you wouldn't be firing a warning shot.
So now you've told him, okay, I fired a shot with absolutely no legal justification.
Right. But the worst thing of all was he missed. Now, how do you miss a warning shot? Well, you actually hit the person you were shooting at. So he had a shotgun, so when he shot, a couple of pellets hit the guy that was trying to break in.
Okay, wait. So he was trying to fire a warning shot, shot close to this guy, but it was close enough to where he actually hit the guy, even though he didn't mean to hit the guy.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
So now you have, illegal discharge in the town, and you have, assault, all those other things. So, the previous caller was right. You need to know, but I just don't think it's that hard for most people to figure out some of the stuff. And there's enough information online on many of the things. I hate to see somebody go through the same thing we're doing in Orange County, where for handgun licenses they were requiring a class, and then all of a sudden the sheriff's department decided they could make some money on that. And so now they're giving the classes, and they shut just about everybody else out.
Let me ask you a question, George. Do you think it's a case in a lot of these cases that people just don't know that there's information out there, or they don't know that they are just utterly ignorant of what they need to know?
I think most of the time, and I think I might be stealing a phrase from you, I think what they know isn't so. And so I think, like saying, well, I have a Second Amendment right, and it's like, well, no, not really, not right now, because it didn't go to, it hadn't gone to the Supreme Court yet. Or I think the laws are this way, and, because my brother-in-law said so, and so they think they know what the law is. They think like that guy, he thought he could fire a warning shot and just had never asked anybody, because there are a lot of people out there who aren't active and don't expose themselves and don't keep up with what's going on.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Look, I appreciate the report on that. That's pretty interesting, George.
Thanks a lot.
I was talking to somebody just the other day. They said, yeah, well, I know that the deal, I haven't really looked into it a lot, but I know that, if you shoot somebody in your front yard, you just need to drag them into your house. I was speechless. So, really? I haven't heard anybody say that in 30 years. And it was wrong then, but you might be able to get away with it. You're not going to get away with it anymore. That's just wrong on any level. I think probably people who listen to Gun Talk are smarter than that. I hope so. And they understand that this is very serious business and requires study and work. If you're going to have a gun for self-defense, you have a responsibility to do it well and safely. 866-TALK-GUN. Have you ever had this conversation with somebody you know who you're just scratching your head and going, really, dude? Give me a range report on that one. 866-TALK-GUN.
Whether you are a first-timer or seasoned shooter, Double Star has the guns, edged weapons, and parts you desire. Our products are made in America and held to the highest quality standards. No exceptions. Double Star and Ace Limited manufactures products people bet their lives on without hesitation. That awesome responsibility motivates the Double Star family, and it will proudly protect yours. When you're ready for the best, join our family at star15.com. That's star15.com.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
The FBI calls title fraud one of the fastest growing crimes. If you own a home or property, protect it with Home Title Lock, or you could lose it. Title fraud is when an identity thief steals your identity and transfers your home's title into his name. Once he controls title, he can borrow on your home and stick you with the payments. Your bank doesn't protect you, and neither does your homeowner's insurance or any identity theft program. Only Home Title Lock protects you. Home Title Lock forms a virtual perimeter around your home's title. The instant it detects suspicious activity, it's on it, helping to shut it down. Why risk losing everything when, for just pennies a day, Home Title Lock helps protect you? Protect your home and property with Home Title Lock. And be sure you're not already a victim. Sign up today to get your home's title history, a $60 value free. HomeTitleLock.com. And use promo code PROTECT. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code PROTECT. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code PROTECT. All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Let's tell you what, let's go line 3. Bill's with us out of Liberty, Missouri. Bill, what are you looking for here?
Hey, Tom, I have a chance to purchase about 6 firearms or rifles, but the problem is the guy was sick for about 3 or 4 years, and he didn't take care of them, and they live in a humid area, and they are so rusty, like the bolt actions are stuck shut, and some of them are really pitted, and I couldn't really tell about the bore on some of them, and she's wanting to sell these 6 guns. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering if there's any way that a guy, which I'm not a gunsmith, just the average guy could take the rust off of them or get them where they could be used or not worth fooling with or what.
Mm-hmm. You know, there's a phrase that comes to mind, Bill, and that is, a man could get rich walking away from a deal like that. Yeah, if they're rusted shut and they're pitted and all, there's not much value there. They may not even be safe. Why would you want to buy them?
good question. I guess I was just wanting to see if I could save them. I guess that's what I'm trying to.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, by the time you take them to a gunsmith, if they are really rusted and pitted, they're never going to look right. They're never going to be pretty. They might be safe to shoot. They might be shootable, but they're going to be beater guns. They're not going to be much value to them. Is there anything there that's like particularly really interesting in terms of a model or anything?
No, not as I saw. Like I said, rifles. I mean, they're really pretty rusty. You know, there's a couple of I think. But,
I got to tell you, I would walk away from that. I just, there are just some deals you're thinking, I would be great if I could find a way to make this work. But I think what you're going to find in the end is, unless you just want a project, if you say, this would be fun to tinker with, and I just want to tinker with it, and in the end, I don't care if I get anything usable out of it, it's just a fun thing to play with, well, that's fine. But if you're saying, at the end of this, I want to have functioning guns that I can either shoot or I could sell to somebody, me personally, I'm walking away. I mean, I wish you luck with it. What you might want to do is contact a local gunsmith and say, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? Would you help me out on this? Or what's it going to cost me? That's probably not a bad way to go. I appreciate the call, Bill. Roy is in Ohio on one. Got him a blink system. Hey, Roy.
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to report I didn't get in on the 10% discount. I signed up before I heard about that. But anyway, they gave me the 10% retroactively. But my Blink camera worked for like about a couple of months. And anyway, long story short,
wait! You got to let me say it, okay? It went on the Blink.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay, yeah. It quit working on me.
Okay.
The camera quit working on me, and they said, well, push the reset button for a minute and a half, and they said, no, you got a bad reset. They sent me a shipping label. They sent me a new unit. Didn't cost me a cent. I got the new unit. It's working perfectly, and I love it. It is the great thing. You are right on when you endorse this. This is a good deal.
Cool. I'm glad it works. I like mine. In fact, I got to get some more cameras. By the way, thank you for the call, sir. Yeah, we moved. We're back in the house after 8 months of being out after the fire. Just moved back. We have boxes. Oh, good Lord. Do we have boxes? I don't know. I have no idea where the Blink cameras are. They're in one of these boxes somewhere. It was the process, and through the help of a lot of friends, we got everything moved back, and some of the stuff made it, some of the stuff was able to be repaired or recovered or what do they call it, remediation. Some of the stuff, no. I had a couple of things come back from the companies that were supposed to have cleaned them up, and they smell like smoke from the fires. Nope. Don't bring that into my house. Not doing that. But we're back. It feels pretty good to be back home, I got to tell you. And once again, I'm just going to say this because, you're going to get tired of hearing me say it, but it's true. Go check your fire extinguishers. First of all, have fire extinguishers, okay? Like more than one. Around the house, several of them. 3 is a good number. Check them to make sure they're still good. If they're not, that makes for a great training opportunity. Take them out in the backyard and get the members of your family out there and have them, spray it and do it and do the whole thing and, use them, okay? That's how you learn to use them. Make sure that everybody in your family knows how to use them. So have fresh fire extinguishers. Make sure everybody knows how to use them. Oh, yeah. Make sure you have replacement value insurance. Without it, we learned. We did, by the way. Without it, they will depreciate the value, and you'll find out you actually don't have much insured at all. But we're all well, and thank you so much for all of the nice thoughts that you've sent our way. Okay, I love this one. Larry in Corpus Christi, Texas on 4. He's upset with Glock What's got you going here, Larry?
Hey, I'm not real happy with these guys at Glock. Every time I think I've got the perfect Glock, they come out with another one. I hemmed and hawed for a while over a Glock 5, and I got a buddy of mine who got a Glock 5 who didn't like it because it was a 19, because it was too small for his big, huge paws. Mm-hmm. So he gave it to me at a really good discount. I love my Glock 19, Gen 5. I think it's one of the greatest guns ever made. I'm a lefty. The ambidextrous slide release has just made a big difference in my world. Okay. And now they come out with this Gen 19X.
Yeah, it's a Glock G19X, right?
Yes, so, and I want one really bad now.
All right, tell me. All right, now see if I got this right. It has basically the frame of a Glock 17, but the shorter slide of a Glock 19.
Yes, and
what about that appeals to you?
Because I've got pretty good size hands, and I like my 17 slightly better as far as shooting. I don't like it as much to carry. Down here in South Texas, it's fishing shirts and shorts 11 months of the year, so I'm always getting poked in the side with my Glock. Being a lefty, especially when I'm driving, it gets kind of irritating. That slightly smaller frame on my 19, it sure makes it a whole lot easier to carry.
Do you carry inside the waistband?
No, I carry a 45-degree tilt on my belt.
Outside the waistband.
It's a Benaki Model 82.
Okay. Well, if you like, the shorter barrel. See, I think they went about it backwards. Because I carry inside the waistband, long barrel is fine with me because it doesn't affect concealment at all. It's the long the long grip that affects concealment. If you're trying to cover it, the grip is what sticks out and prints for me. So I would have gone the other way. I'd have gone with a long slide to get the sight radius and a shorter grip. But that's why they have different models for different folks.
And you really had to go there with them. Thank you. Now they're going to come out with a Gen 19Y with the longer barrel and the shorter grip. Thank you. Thank you very much. So can I get a note from my wife why I have to buy 2 more guns, not 1 more gun?
I am here for you anytime, my friend.
So you haven't seen it yet? You don't know anything about it?
No, I don't. And, I look at that and go, I don't get it. It's like, okay. I don't want a shorter sight radius and longer grip. I would go the other way, just from a concealment standpoint. But honestly, if you like the longer grip, it sounds like this is a gun made for you. It gives you a little bit more ammo. You can use the Glock 17 mags in it, and you have the shorter slide, so it's going to be more comfortable for you. I think they were thinking of you when they made this.
Well, now this Gen 5 barrel, I'm noticing a big difference. I think it shoots a whole lot more accurate than my Gen 3 barrel. Now, that could be because I got a billion rounds through my Gen 3 barrel, but
no, you may be right. Look, they're making the barrels are so much better than they were 15, 20 years ago. Guns are just inherently more accurate than they were 20 years ago. Everything works better. Even though we call it combat Tupperware, Glocks work better. They all do. I mean, all the guns shoot better than they did back then. Here's the deal. I officially give you permission to get the G19X, but with one requirement. You have to give us a range report. When you get it, when you shoot it, you got to call and tell us how it works. I appreciate it. And, I'll get on them. I'll make sure that they make that other model because I know that's the one you want anyway. So, hey, more guns, always a good thing. I am your enabler. I am the guy who will give you permission. You just call me, tell me what you're looking for, and I will tell you, yes, that's the gun you need. And then I'll even give you a permission slip. You can write it and sign my name to it. It's all good. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, what would you do with $1,000 to buy any gun you wanted?